Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion, and in this video I'll be talking about the game between the Chennai Super Kings and the Royal Challengers Bangalore. Now, as I predicted, CSK did manage to win the game quite comfortably in the end by 69 runs. And for most of the first innings, it honestly didn't look like it at all, like that they would win by such a big margin, because or even that they would win, because I'm saying, so CSK got quite a good opening partnership, and I think at one point they were 70 without loss in 8.1 overs, so they batted first. But it was a kind of thing where, yes, CSK were in front, but with the run rate, it isn't really getting away from the opposition. So, RCB won out of the game. And, they do have the bowlers to make breakthroughs, and they have the confidence once they make breakthroughs to kind of seize on the opportunity and look for more wickets. So, after that opening stand, I think Gaikwad got out first for 33. Raina came in, and there was a bit of a partnership between him and Duplessis until Raina also got out. And I think, not very long after, I think it was in the next ball even, Faf Duplessis hits the ball straight to long on, and he gets out as well. So it wasn't necessarily great. And then the thing is, it was a very underwhelming phase, a kind of late middle phase, because after the start that CSK got, they got the platform to get quite a big total, and you were aiming for at least 180 at that point, but it didn't really look like they'd get to it after RCB pulled it back very well. And it was a very underwhelming end, well, it looked like a very underwhelming end to the innings for CSK, and they were 154 for 4 after 19 overs. So clearly, the scoring rate had kind of dropped. I mean, it wouldn't have seemed such a bad it doesn't seem like such a bad position, but I'm saying, considering the start they got, they would have definitely wanted more. And considering they're also playing in the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai, which meaning that, okay, that pitch was on the slower side a little bit, but it wasn't impossible to score runs. In fact, you still could score runs, and even then, teams would be aiming for at least 180. So the CSK would have been disappointed of where they were at the 19 over mark, but then something just surreal happened. I mean, the person who's been excellent throughout this tournament, Harshal Patel, who actually had, before that over, had 3 for 40 in 3 overs as his figures. And so you see how well he's bowled. And he gets his length wrong. He bowls full tosses to a Jadeja that was clearly struggling under the heat. I mean, you wouldn't blame him, because, even Raidu was kind of struggling as well. And Harshal Patel bowls full tosses to, struggling Jadeja because of, the heat. And he gives 37 runs away. And the thing is, Jadeja, honestly, credit must be given to him because of the fact that he was not feeling comfortable, and yet he managed to hit those sixes. Harshal Patel, the deliveries kind of helped as well. He also got a kind of an over waist high full toss, which was swatted into the stands of a mid wicket, and most of the sixes went over mid wicket as well. And the over just completely gave CSK the confidence they needed going into the halfway stage, because they effectively got 11 runs more than what the target score may have been. So RCB, here's the thing. So even after that over, I think RCB had enough confidence in their batting from the previous games, and coming off a 10-wicket win as well. I don't think RCB would have been too fussed to chase down 192, even though, okay, it's pretty bad. The last over went for 37, but thing is also, apart from the last over, you could say RCB as a whole won the innings. I mean, they won 19 out of I know CSK, the opening stand was very good, but I'm saying that overall, if you look at what CSK were after 19 overs, RCB have effectively won 19 out of the 20 overs. And, no one would have ever expected this kind of a thing to happen, especially with the fact that you look at the person who's bowling and kind of the purple cap holder, and he got 3 wickets in this game as well. And even though he's been hit for 37, you think he's been, if you look at his figures, well, you'd think his figures would be the 60s, but no, it's 3 for 51. So honestly, another bowler could keep on getting smacked in a uniform fashion and still concede 50 runs. So RCB kind of won 19 overs of the innings, but it was just the last over that got away from them in the end. Then it was the RCB's batting, and they started off very well. They got a lot in the first 3 overs. I think close to what 40 odd runs in the first 3 overs. Virat Kohli and Devdutt Padikkal, and Padikkal ever since that Rajasthan Royals game, as and including that game, has found this he's kind of effortlessly attacking the bowlers more. And I mean, look, we always saw that, he's a very stylish player, very classy player, even if we saw from the previous season. Yet, with the 100 he scored against Rajasthan, also with the kind of the cameo that he played in, the CSK game, the way that he bats hasn't really changed much. He just seems to have such a level of confidence, even more confidence than he had last season, and it just seems to be effortless. And it was such a joy to watch him bat. And Kohli got out of for 8 of 7 balls off caught behind off Sam Curran. And I know I wanted CSK to win, but as a fan of cricket, I felt very sad when Kohli got out, and I would have wanted him to score a 50 and then get out, even though preferably it would have been good if we won the game, which we did in the end. So yeah, he got out. And then the thing is, as I mentioned, look, they don't have a number 3. And the thing about RCB is, look, if they don't have with the way they went last game, if they don't have a number 3, then, and if they've use Washington Sundar for that number 3, then they don't have that much confidence in their number 6 either, because Dan Christian is good in kind of flatter wickets in Australia. His batting in India, I'm not so sure you can rely on it for him to be batting in the top 6. He isn't a bad cricketer by any means. He's a very good T20 all-rounder. I definitely feel that, in the second spell that he's been reintroduced into the IPL, he's been significantly better than he had been before that, when he was playing for Deccan Chargers, when he was bought for a lot of money. So I still don't think he can bat in the top 6 in Indian conditions. And it's kind of a catch-22 where, you Washington Sundar, you can play him at number 3, and he has played some very good innings. In fact, I actually went to a TNPL game where he scored 50 of 17 balls. I think it was a semi-final or something. And it was a tournament where after IPL 2017, he had such confidence that he was a player of the tournament by some distance in that. And I'd probably still say, as an all-round contribution, it's probably the best I've seen a player do in a T20 tournament. And I know it's a domestic tournament, but just that was the confidence that he carried. So, he can definitely bat, in the top 6. And so they put him at number 3. He hit one boundary, but then he got off Jadeja, who had a brilliant game today. It's called an unbeaten 62. Got 3 wickets, and including the wicket of AB de Villiers, and also affected a run out as well, which was brilliant, I think. And Dan Christian got out, via a Jadeja throw. And he had a brilliant game. And the thing is, after the opening partnership, you look at like 40 odd without loss. And then they just go from that to 95 for 8. And CSK bowled well. Imran Tahir played well today, and he's kind of introduced later on in the piece and bowled to the bowlers, but he got 2 for 16 in his 4. And they may, I think Moeen Ali was injured, and that's the reason why he couldn't play this game. But Imran Tahir in this attack definitely provides that wrist spin option, and provides someone who, since Ngidi wasn't playing today, I'd say provides someone apart from Chahar who you can rely on. So I'm not saying you can't rely on the others, but as I've said, CSK has been a bit, overall it's been a bit of a one-man army, because Deepak Chahar has been their main bowler, and the others just haven't really been that consistent. And yeah, it was a surreal collapse. And, I'm not surprised that CSK won this game, but I am surprised at the way the game went, because, it seemed like RCB were in control for the first, 19th over in the first innings, and 20th over it just all changes. Even then, they wouldn't have minded chasing 192 with their batting lineup, and also a Wankhede pitch, or even if it is a bit slow in this IPL sometimes, depending on which pitch they use, you could still get at least 180. So honestly, with their batting lineup that they have with Padikkal, Kohli, Maxwell, de Villiers, you wouldn't have really discounted them from chasing this total down, considering also the very patchy form of the other CSK bowlers apart from Deepak Chahar. And so, as I said, very surprised that RCB lost it in this manner. And, again, look, they've been they've been brilliant in this tournament so far, honestly, with 4 wins out of 4, and they lost to CSK, but this win, it's like this for RCB. So last time around they were 1-3 and lost 1, and they came into their 5th game and they played against Delhi Capitals, who they're actually playing tomorrow, and they got blown away. And it was kind of a loss where you didn't really look at the other 3 wins because you saw that they were just blown away by a brilliant team in the Delhi Capitals. And look, every team in the IPL can beat anyone on a given day, but I'm saying, there are some teams which are even a different level compared to that, and Delhi Capitals are certainly, I feel, so in this tournament, are the best team in the tournament by far. But the reason why I mentioned that loss is because in that you kind of just thought, oh no. Whereas in this loss, I don't think you can think that, because despite the fact that the temptation, look, they lost by 69 runs in the end, it's kind of like they did do well in 19 overs at the bowling inning, and you saw the opening partnership as well, and it was kind of a very surreal thing, as I said. And it was just Jadeja's day. He was brilliant that day, and yeah, he thoroughly deserved to get accolades, and his performance was quite frankly amazing. But I'm saying that it's just that here's the thing on Jadeja. Now, this performance on that day was very good, but the thing is, I just feel like, as far as the bowling is concerned, like batting and fielding, he's been, ever since 2018, since he scored that 86 not out, his batting has just taken off to another level, and his fielding has always been good. But if him, and especially Tom Curran, the thing is that I just don't think, as I said, I keep on saying that, all right, you would think, okay, we won the game and we got, they only scored 122 for 9 and they hadn't lost a game in the tournament. I should be happy. But the thing is, our bowling is a bit iffy, because it's not like Jadeja bowled badly that game, but he kind of, it wasn't, deliveries that you kind of get into a muddle about. And honestly, just it wasn't bowling that would affect such a collapse. And so I still think, apart from Deepak Chahar, and I'm sure Imran Tahir will come good, in dismissing the kind of the big overseas hitters, I'd say. I mean, again, I think the Indian batsmen are playing relatively okay, but I'm saying that dismissing the kind of the big overseas hitters in the middle order, and also Deepak Chahar with the new ball, that would be some 8 reliable overs for CSK, because at this point in time, you don't quite know what the others are going to do. I would have thought, play in Gidi instead of Bravo, so you can add that as a 12 over bank. But would they want to drop Bravo? I'm not so sure they would do. So I know I'm kind of going here and there with this, but I'm saying that it's a kind of thing where CSK, despite the fact that they won the game, their bowling still needs a bit of work in my view. And the thing is that RCB, I don't think that this loss will be as bad as the 5th game of last season, where they completely got destroyed by Delhi, because it looks like they got destroyed in this one. But honestly, it wasn't, it isn't something that I think would derail their campaign. Now, it would be preferable for them if they beat Delhi Capitals tomorrow, so that they can kind of think, look, right. I mean, Delhi Capitals are, for me, a better team than CSK. In fact, a way better team than CSK. You saw in the first game what happened when, and the thing is, with Ashwin unfortunately pulling out the IPL as well, due to like kind of personal reasons, it's not even like in any game in this tournament so far, they've not actually played their full strength 11 in many people's view, and yet look at their record. In fact, they should have won the Rajasthan game as well. So it really should be, 1-5, lost nothing, and they've been brilliant. And if RCB beat this team tomorrow, then it would be very, very good for their confidence, which is, already quite high. Now, there's another game that happened today, and the other game that happened today was, a relatively more... So it was the first game in the Motera Stadium in Ahmedabad, and it was between the Punjab Kings and the Kolkata Knight Riders. Now, both teams, slightly low in confidence. I know Punjab beat Mumbai Indians, but KKR, they're really, coming into this game, they were in all sorts, they had all sorts of issues, and probably still do have issues. So Punjab Kings batted first, and it was a very sedate power play. I think that, after, there were a few good shots being played, but neither of the two could really kind of get away from it. Kind of, the score didn't really tick along fast enough, and I think they only got 36 for 1 or something in the first 6 overs. Pat Cummins gave 19 runs in his first 2 overs, but was, I thought very unlucky to. I mean, he was very unlucky to concede 2 sixes, behind the batsman, especially KKR Rahul's one where he was kind of a slash and it just went over third man for six. So it's a kind of thing where then he actually, the very next ball, he got Rahul out as well for 19 off 20. And it's a kind of another thing where I feel like, the team relies on him. And I know there are other people, but if KL Rahul does not play well, the other players on the side in that top four, so Mayank Agarwal, Chris Gill, Nicholas Puran, they can't pull the team out of trouble, if KL Rahul doesn't do well. I mean, it's kind of, for them, it kind of just seems like the other, it's probably the best top four in probably the best top four in the tournament, maybe you could say, apart from like Mumbai Indians will also be up there as well. But I'm saying that as far as, dynamism and just the tournament, something that you'd kind of be biased towards seeing how they go, it would definitely be the Punjab Kings. But I'm saying that if KL Rahul doesn't fire, the other three aren't necessarily gonna pull your team out of the water. And so it's a bit difficult for Kings 11 because you could see he is burdening KL Rahul a little bit. The fact is that in the first few games, he's kind of played slowly. He's taken a more measured approach ever since IPL 2018. In that season, he was scoring much quicker. And look, I've never really criticized KL Rahul's strike rate because I just like watching him bat. And also with the volume of runs that he scores, and the team relies on him so much. And if he has so much pressure, and the thing is, it is a situation where he does have to perform more often than not, can you really blame him? And I just feel like, it's kind of sad to see this happening because KL Rahul, when he's just left to play his own game, he's such a good, and even now, even if he scores a run at ball knock, you can just kind of see how stylish of a player he is even within that. So it's kind of a thing where, what was I gonna say? So yeah, it's kind of a thing where already, as I said with him, I think in quite a few videos ago, I talked about the fact that people did troll him, quite badly when I don't really think he deserved that at all. And, okay, sometimes, he wasn't doing that well for a while, but, it wasn't really the end of the world and people were making it seem like it was the end of the world. And so he's kind of had to trust no one. And because of that, whatever happens, it kind of just, with the competition in the Indian team as well, it's kind of just seemed like there's always this pressure on him to perform whatever happens. And already with someone who has that kind of a pressure on his shoulders, this extra thing of other people relying on him just doesn't help either. So the fact is, before people criticize KL Rahul and his strike rate, you kind of have to think, right, I mean, okay, this may be a bit controversial what I'm going to say, but some people who overly criticized him, in fact, a lot of people, the public who criticized him, quite unfairly, and quite over the top, quite frankly. It's just that you put him in a situation where he kind of can't really trust anyone because, for him, he just solely has to perform. And I'm saying, okay, every player has to perform, but I'm saying that people put pressure on him in the first place, then he scored runs, and now considering when the other players rely on him, and you're basically still telling him to up his strike rate, and people still troll him, and it just doesn't make any sense. So that's my thing on the fact that in this situation, the last thing you should do is put more pressure on someone who, as I said, already has a lot of pressure on his shoulders. So that's KL Rahul. And honestly, yeah, he got out and this innings just never took off. Chris Gill just wafted the bat out to Shivam Marby, who bowled brilliantly. 1 for 13 in 4 overs. He got a wicket in his 4th over and he deserved it because he really had bowled well. And really, it was just the innings just never got going. I think Mayank Agarwal scored a 31 off 34. And the next highest score was a 30 off 18 from Chris Jordan. The total in the end was, I think, 123 for 9, or maybe even all out with a run out, depends. So there wasn't really much to talk about in the batting. It was just a complete muddle. KKR bowled very well. The conditions were a bit slow and it suited their bowlers. I was thinking they'd play. I thought it would kind of be like how the India versus England T20s, it was kind of 180 plus wickets. So I kind of thought it'd at least be that. And I thought they'd play Lockie Ferguson instead of Sunil Narine. But considering more surfaces have been slower this year in the IPL, even in Mumbai, I just, they played Sunil Narayan and he bowled brilliantly, and he got, you especially saw the wicket of Moses Henriques was a very good delivery. And so KKR, all in all, be very happy with their bowling performance. And yeah, the score is only 123. They have to chase down 124. Now, at the start, they made, I would say, in fact, they probably didn't chase this down in the way that they would have liked to, because 17 for 3 they found themselves in. I mean, Nitish Rana drove a full toss of Moses Henriques straight to Shah Rukh Khan, who was standing at cover. And then I think it was actually a very good delivery from Mohammad Shami. All right, people may say Shubman Gill isn't getting runs, but that particular dismissal, I mean, the ball just seemed in slightly. And, the thing is, there was virtually no swing available. And the thing I was thinking, that you look at Kings 11 defending low totals, apart from against Sunrisers last season, the problem with Kings 11 is that, look, Mohammad Shami is a strike bowler and he likes taking wickets, and when there's swing, he can make the ball talk, honestly. But I'm saying the one thing he doesn't like is being capped on the amount of runs that he can release. And, the fact that he's a wicket-taking bowler, but he's not necessarily the most economical bowler. You'd see his economy rate in at least the high 8s. And, even his death bowling is kind of, but you don't know what you're going to get from him. When he's good, he's brilliant. And when he misses his length, he goes for runs. But he's still, he's still worth having. It's still worth having someone with his class on your side. He's a brilliant bowler. And the one thing he doesn't like is being kind of, asked to kind of strangle the batsman and make sure that they just don't get runs off his bowling, and while having to take wickets and also having to kind of be the main strike force in this bowling attack. So three things there, or two or three things there. And I honestly thought that, I thought if you try to hit a good length, then, you've seen, I think it was against Bhuvneshwar Kumar, also last season and this season, where Nitish Rana kind of, especially last season, he scored 26 off 12 in the first game they played against Sunrisers. And he kind of drove the balls that were on a good length for 4. I mean, they weren't even bad balls at all, but it was just that there wasn't much swing on offer, basically no swing on offer, that it was very easy to drive on the up. And I honestly thought that this would kind of be the thing that happened in this innings, with Shubman Gill and Nitish Rana doing the same thing. And, since runs would be leaked and a wicket probably wouldn't have fallen until quite, at least 4 or 5 overs like further on in the innings, I thought this game would have been done. Instead, they kind of made a bit of a hash of it. The Shubman Gill dismissal was an excellent delivery that even though the ball wasn't swinging, it just seemed in the last second. And, with the pace that Mohammad Shami bowls, Shubman Gill was trapped LBW. I'm not going to blame him for that, because many other batsmen would have got out for that, because honestly, that was a very hard ball to cater for. It only just seemed a fraction, but that was enough to, get the dismissal. And there was also, I think, it was a brilliant catch on the bound, I think it was in mid-wicket. But someone that I can't remember who it was, that's what I'm saying, mid-wicket. But I'm saying that it was a brilliant catch, and they found themselves 17 for 3. And it wasn't, very good at all. I'm trying to remember who got out. Rana got out, then Shubman Gill got out. And then, can't remember who got out, but I'm saying that, Sunil Narayan, yes, they did another experiment where they sent Sunil Narayan, I think, at number 4, and of course it didn't work very well. Yes, it was, I think it definitely was at mid-wicket. So, 17 for 3, and KKR, you kind of thought, the one thing, here's the thing about this, now you kind of think they're in trouble, but I actually didn't think they were in that much trouble, because any other bowling attack, okay, the game is open. Kings 11, through the middle phase, they just don't have that kind of, they don't have the resources. They have good bowlers like, Bishnoi was playing today, but I'm saying that they don't have the resources to control the innings through the middle phase. And, with only one of the spinners playing today, and, no other bowler to kind of who's actually of that nature at all. I mean, Moses Henriques was used as the star, and even then, throughout the inning, after the third wicket fell, the bowling, there wasn't enough bite in the bowling, and I wasn't surprised, because I never really thought they would continue that surge through the middle phase. And Morgan and Tripathi had an excellent partnership of, I think, 66, and it just, it ensured that KKR got to, I would say, a position where they were going to win the game, whatever happened. And Tripathi got out. He was furious that he got out because I think at that stage he kind of thought of net run rate. But, after you've lost 3 wickets, very early on in the piece, I think net run rate was kind of out of the window. So it was very important that KKR won this, game, and the 2 points was the main priority, and they won this game, which is good for them. Morgan scored 47 off 40, an unbeaten score where, thing is, they'd be very happy that their captain, who's supposed to lead from the front, and who's a World Cup winning captain and does lead from the front against, when he plays for England. And the thing is that they'd be very happy that he got runs under his belt, and it bode well for him in the rest of the tournament because he really hasn't had a great time in the first few games that he's played. Andre Russell got run out, but then again, thing is, by that time they lost 5 wickets with Andre Russell getting out. And the thing is that, as I said, I don't think KKR would have won this game in the way they wanted to, and they would have been, they'd rather probably Morgan not having to bat that long, maybe Shubman Gill getting a 30 odd, Nitish Rana also getting kind of, the order, kind of being uniform scores, chasing down a very small total so that each batsman kind of would have a bat and gain some more confidence. So yeah, but KKR won that game, and Kings 11 Punjab 1-2, lost 4. I don't quite get what they're doing with the changes they're making, if I'm completely honest with you, because what I'm trying to say is this. Okay, so there was probably Chris Jordan, I understand, the fact is, playing Chris Jordan today, I understand he scored runs with the bat, but that's not what he's in the team for. And if you see the way the pitch worked, was it really, they could have probably played someone else. They could have maybe even played Fabian Allen to probably provide a little bit more control, because if you look at what, the pitch is a slow surface, and, you look at Chris Jordan, I don't think he could maximize, what he could get out of that surface. And, someone like a Fabian Allen who, may have also hit the runs that Chris Jordan hit as well, who, I'm not discounting his contribution because, it was a very vital 30 runs to even get to this score. But I'm saying that they could have played Fabian Allen. And the thing is, some of the changes I don't really get because, Moses Enriques, yes, look, right. What they did was that they clearly rely on him to, I reckon, from the Marcus Stoinis example where he bowled up front for Delhi and got the wicket of Quinton de Kock by bowling cutters from the start. But I'm saying that Moses Enriques, as a bowler, okay. But as a batsman, look, you already had a settled batting lineup, and okay, he hasn't really done well for the past, few games, against Mumbai, and didn't do well today. But I'm saying, I just don't get, maybe after a while he kind of seems a bit of a roadblock in this team, I'll be honest. Now, that isn't any discredit to him as a player, but, he played a role when he was needed to. But would you really persist with Moses Enriques in this side? Because this isn't like a Marcus Stoinis situation. You look at what Marcus Stoinis offers for Delhi, and, a batting all-rounder who can come in and finish the innings, that kind of falls into Delhi's plans, and so he fits seamlessly into the team, and everything's all good. But Moses Enriques doesn't fit seamlessly into the team, and it's kind of a bit of he isn't as aggressive as even Nicholas Poole, Shah Rukh Khan, Deepak Hooda. They are more aggressive, from ball one than Moses Enriques is. And I'm not saying Moses Enriques isn't a good player again, but I'm saying it just seems a bit unnatural and kind of a bit forced to have him in this team. It's because, this isn't like the seamless fit that Marcus Stoinis provides. So, yeah, I'm sure there'd be a lot more things for Kings 11. The thing is that, and I'm not surprised that they're not playing the 2 bowlers that costed 22 crores combined because, the surface didn't really warrant that. And, again, they haven't really succeeded in keeping their runs down. So if they just played 3 bowlers who, don't kind of, you look at Jai Richardson and Riley Meredith in this tournament, and you look at Mohammad Shami in general, they may have not really been able to put as much of a fight as they did. So that was this game. It wasn't a great game to watch, if I'm completely honest. It was a very dull game. And, I'm kind of thinking, comparing this one to the RR versus KKR, I reckon this one would just be better than that. But yeah, that was pretty much that. So that was these two games, and tomorrow RCB will be playing DC, and it'll be a very exciting game to look forward to. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and please share this video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?